Have you ever thought about using a partner or partnerships to build your real estate business and accelerate your wealth creation? If so, you need to watch today's episode. I interview Ashley Kehr, who started her business in 2014 after she pushed back on her new boss saying, "I don't want this stupid job," right out of college. And she's built an amazing portfolio of real estate and recently wrote a book on the use of partners and how she used partners and how she continues to use partnerships to grow her business and her practice and accelerate her wealth creation. Enjoy. Welcome, listeners. Today, I have the distinct honor and privilege of having Ashley Kehr on our show today. She is the co-host of the Bigger Pockets Real Estate Rookie podcast. But in addition to that, she's got a really amazing background. She purchased her first rental property in 2014, and since then has grown her buy and hold portfolio to over 30 properties. She's got experience in residential and commercial properties, and she accredits a lot of her success to the use of partners on several of her key real estate deals and creative financing. And I want to dig into those specific areas today with her. And I'm excited about getting deeper and learning about her story. So, Ashley, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So bring us up to speed real quickly. I know you've got, understand you've got a farm, you're a mom, you got a lot going on. So tell us the story about how you got into real estate and kind of where you are.
Okay, yeah, I graduated from college with an accounting and finance dual degree. I was set out to be a CPA, and I had interned for an accounting firm throughout college. And the plan was after college, I'd graduate. I got married the summer after college, and then I'd start working full time that fall, and I'd finally start making the big bucks. Well, that day came when I got my, offer letter to go full time, and it was extremely disappointing. It was maybe $3 more than what I was making as an intern there.
Wow.
And I just remember the one of the partners at the firm just saying, I don't make the money that I want either, basically saying this is how life is. And that just stuck in the back of my mind forever as far as, well, I don't want that. So I only lasted 6 months and I quit in the middle of tax season. I gave my 2 weeks notice and they said, we usually don't keep someone for 2 weeks. Once you quit, you're gone. I was like, okay, great. And then they're like, well, no. I guess we do need to stay and finish
Tax season.
So my plan was I just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And shortly after that, I went on vacation with my friend and her family. And I, was talking to them about, I quit my job. And I don't know what I'm going to do. My husband can support me. I'm just going to be a stay-at-home mom. And so growing up, I had known the family very well, and that the dad had a bunch of businesses and did a lot of different things. I always respected what he did, and they always were very successful and had money and would take us on trips and things like that. So he said, I need help in my business. And it really intrigued me. And I said, okay. And the words he used was, I need help getting organized. So that was really the job description. And I started working for him part-time. And what that ended up translating into was, I have a 40-unit apartment complex that I need someone to manage. And so that was my first position with him, was managing a 40-unit apartment complex. The best part was the bookkeeping was easy for me. I could collect the rent checks, I could pay the bills, I could properly record everything. And so the numbers were good. I could budget, everything like that. But I didn't know the first thing about tenant landlord law, about leases, things like that. So I spent so much time learning and researching. And at that point, I didn't know anybody else that was a real estate investor or a property manager. I didn't know about websites like Bigger Pockets. So I had to learn everything on my own. And the previous person that managed this literally just used pen and paper for everything. So I took the first couple of years, upgraded everything to software, streamlined everything, created my systems and processes. And so I had been doing this for about a year when I approached the owner's son, who had also been my childhood friend. I said, look what your dad is doing. we need to do this. And the son was in the family business that they had, but that wasn't real estate. Real estate was always just a side thing his dad did.
Mm.
And so I said, look at the cash flow here, look at the advantages. And his dad was taking an apartment complex, refinancing it, and using that money to buy another business in cash. And so it was just looking at how this real estate was actually helping his, regular business that he was operating too. So we dove in and we bought the first duplex that we looked at, and from then I became a real estate investor.
Well, it's just some funny thoughts crossed my mind, when you're telling the story. It's like the business owner, because we work with a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, and that's kind of your typical job description, right? Come help me get organized.
Yeah.
And fortunately, you were intelligent enough to go in there and creative and had enough initiative to actually go beyond the job description. But normally, us business owners screw that up about 4 or 5 times, right, on hires until we figure out we need to define, what we're looking to get actually done.
Oh, and I definitely made my mistakes, and it was definitely a learning process for sure. And probably if he hired an experienced property manager right off the bat, it would have been more efficient and effective right away. And it definitely took me some time to really get it operating, but it was definitely a unique opportunity that I was able to
Mm.
learn all of this stuff and get paid and have a great job while doing that. Plus, it was very flexible. I could work whenever I needed to, and I could work from home too.
No, that's awesome. Well, he obviously saw something in you, and he knew you've grown up, and the drive and the energy, and
The
obviously,
loyalty too, I think, was a big
loyalty.
thing, like being able to trust me and knowing that I would be
Yeah.
loyal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's huge in business, right? I know you're going to get into partnerships, but loyalty is almost the most important thing, because you can solve a lot of problems if you know that people's heart is right,
Mhm.
and they're with you long term. But okay, so you had this door of opportunity. You go to college, you get the tip, you're following the quote unquote American dream, right? And then you get out and disillusionment hits, and reality sets in. And I thought it was funny what you said. The seasoned CPA says, well, basically my life sucks and yours will too, and just get used to it. And you're like, no, I reject that, which I love. I love. All right, so you got started in real estate with your friend, and bought your first property, and was that 2014?
Yeah, that was 2014. We bought our first one. Yep.
Okay, so then just fast forward quickly, just bring us up to speed then, since you kind of fell into it and you had this opportunity and you've done quite a bit with it. What are some of the key lessons you've learned? I mean, we have people that are listening that are sort of feeling that same pinch, that they sort of hate their job, or they want to grow their business, or they want to get into real estate. How did you get started? And then for some of the more seasoned people, how did you sort of see to the next mountain, to go for it?
Yeah. So the reason I got started was I picked my ideal opportunity for getting a partner. I approached the guy that I was working for, his son. His son didn't have any investments yet as far as real estate. And he had a bunch of cash savings that he had and wasn't doing anything with. They were just sitting in his bank account. But also, he could ask, get a glowing recommendation from his dad about me and trusted me because we knew each other well. And so he actually fronted all the capital. I think maybe I ended up putting in $5,000 for some of the repairs that we did after we
Mhm.
purchased it. But we set it up so that he actually got 50% equity of the property. So he's getting 50% of the cash flow and 50% of the, baked in appreciation and the mortgage pay down. But then also he actually had a note on the property where he was receiving a mortgage payment for the funds he actually put into the property. So he was getting paid back at 5.5% interest amortized over 15 years.
Mhm.
So there was almost that extra security. It wasn't just here's the cash. I hope we make cash flow. We had run the numbers based off of him getting his principal and interest paid back. Plus, there was a little bit of cash flow on the
Mm.
property too. So that was, the biggest advantage I had was I had an opportunity to partner with someone who was in the right mindset to do, was capable of doing it, but didn't have the time or the energy to actually go and buy the properties himself. So that was a huge advantage to me that I was able to bring that to the table. We still continue to partner today. He is still in the family business. There's some things that he's uncertain about, and he literally uses the real estate investments that I bring him that we partner on as his safety net. As to like,
Hmm.
okay, this is what I have. If everything else falls through, my buy sell doesn't work out with my dad or whatever it may be, that is, his safety net. So it's been a great partnership throughout the years. And then kind of fast forward, I've taken on a couple other partners. My sister and I bought a house that she house hacks. My brother, I gifted him a percentage of a house that we bought, and then we later sold a couple years later for Christmas. And then I have had two other partners that I've worked with. One, right now, he does all the property management. Right now, he runs and operates our property management company. And then we have a couple of short term rentals together. And then another one, we just have long term rentals together that we partnered on, where everything's pretty much 50-50. And he also, that partner, he also has a couple businesses. He owns a restaurant franchise, 5 locations.
Hmm.
And so he actually has used his real estate to fund the purchase of those franchises that he bought. And that's been a huge learning experience for me, is that these entrepreneurs that have these other businesses have been able to purchase them or expand or grow by refinancing and using that equity that's sitting in their real estate to actually fund their business too. Instead of having to go and get a business loan, things like that, and you're definitely getting better rates financing refinancing on a property too.
Well, yeah, one of the things that we do a lot of is that we educate business owners that have like a business that has a need for a local presence. So whether you have employees or
Mhm.
customers or clients or patients or what have you, and it's a growing business and you've got sort of a long glide path to buy the building that your business is in, and a lot of times
Yeah.
buy it larger. Like we have one right now, he's building a 12,000 square foot warehouse. He's a remodeling company, and he's only going to need about he's going to take about, I think, 6,000 feet, but he's going to essentially lease out the rest of it, which is going to pay the freight on the mortgage and build equity. And so in a few years, the additional equity he'll be able to leverage to do, like you're talking about, expand his business or buy a competitor or do whatever. In addition to other real estate investments, multifamily and whatnot. Um,
Yeah, that's what I've seen the investor I work for do too. And they're always separate entities. You have your
mhm,
LLC for the property and your corporation for the business. And so I opened a wine and liquor store,
mm,
and we bought a 4 unit building. We rehabbed it, and the liquor store is in one of the units. And what we do is we kind of, and the mortgage, everything is covered by 3 other units, and there's some cash flow there, but we still have the business make a rental income payment,
sure.
because the rental income is a better tax advantage. So we have a triple net lease with the liquor store, where they actually pay the
Hmm.
property taxes, they pay the utilities, they pay the insurance,
Yep.
they pay their rent.
Yeah.
And we try to offset that as much as possible. So that's like another huge advantage too, of actually owning the building that your business is in.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally an advocate for that. We always say you have a real estate holding company and an operating company, rent space from the holding
Mhm.
company, and there's a ton of
Yep.
tax advantages as you've just enumerated, Ashley. So yeah, we're tracking. That's awesome. So speaking of, you talking about partners, and you've worked with partners in different capacities, and I want to dive into that a little bit. I know you wrote a book on that too. So tell us a little about the book, and why did you write a book on it, and what are some of the key points? Because a lot of us think, a lot of business owners and myself definitely, and I've had to deal with this a lot in my life in terms of um, we're eagles. We like to fly solo, right? We like to call the shots. We want to be in control. Come good days, bad days. I've seen them both. But now I got a partner, and now I've got somebody else involved. I've got a wife, which is a great partner. And so we've done well there. But talk about that. Dive deep and just educate me and our audience on this.
Yeah. So I wrote the book, Real Estate Partnerships, with my co host of the podcast, Tony Robinson. And we decided to write this because this is both how we got our start. We both started with getting partners, and we still continue to use partnerships today. And we, use very different partnership structures for, properties we're purchasing. So we just thought we would put all the information we know together and share our experience and share the knowledge we have on creating partnerships to kind of alleviate some of that worry and that risk and to clarify some things. So, the question we get asked most is, how should I structure the partnership? And, we always have to give the worst answer. Well, it depends.
Yeah.
And really, it's negotiable and you can structure it any way you want as long as it's illegal. But
Right.
I could give you $100,000 and you go and buy a property that's $100,000. And you could say, I'm only giving you 10%, but we're hiring a property management company. I'm not doing anything, but I brought the deal. So I'm getting 90%. Or it could be the reverse way. I could get 90 because I'm bringing 100% of the capital and you're getting 10% because you found the deal. There's no wrong way. It's really what is, beneficial to you and your partner and what you agree on. So starting out, I did that deal where we were 50-50 equity partners. And then, he got that mortgage payment back too and made all of his principal out back and made interest on it, plus the cash flow he made on it, plus the equity in the property and the profit when we sold the property. So that was a huge advantage. And today, someone offered me that structure, I would say no. Like, I have too much value now. I know too many things. I can find us a better deal, things like that. But getting started, he put all his trust into me. I took care of everything, and he was passive. He didn't do anything. He didn't second guess me. And I think some of my biggest recommendations for taking on a partner is first identify why you want to partner. Is it just because you need capital? Well, then you're going to want to solicit and find a partner that is just going to give you the capital and be hands off and completely trust you. Maybe you're sending them a quarterly report, but they're not going to be micromanaging you or try to give their ideas. Maybe you want someone who's going to come in and give ideas and things like that. So that's the first step, is identifying what type of partner you actually want and their involvement. So when you gave the example and asked me the question saying, like, you have a partner coming in and then, all these things can happen. And that's where at the beginning of the relationship, you set those expectations as to, this is what I'm in charge of. This is what your job is. And that job may just be writing the check and reading the quarterly reports or whatever that is. So being able to set the expectation in the beginning is a great point. And for me, go ahead.
I want to hammer that piece home right there about setting expectation at the beginning, because you talked about this in your story a little bit about how your first, not your first job, but your job with the family business that got you into real estate was, hey, clean up, get me organized. Okay. And that's a terrible job description. Yeah. And that's a terrible way to go into a partnership on real estate, right? I mean, we need to know, was it Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind, right? We need to know our exit plan from beginning and potential contingencies, because, if it goes really well, people tend to forget what the handshake agreement was. If it goes really bad, people tend to forget what the handshake agreement was, right?
Yep.
So talk about setting expectations, and then, because you came in and set up systems and everything, but you're talking about codifying that, right? I mean, in black and white, and an agreement, and written down and signed, and everyone is on the same page, I'm assuming.
Yeah, like the more detailed you can get, the better. And obviously, you're not going to be able to write down every single task that person is responsible for. But also, like, for property management, and, if you're purchasing a property with someone and you decide you're going to self-manage it together, you can write out a pretty defined list as who's responsible for what. So who's responsible for paying the bills? Who's responsible for, doing the maintenance or contacting the vendors? Who's responsible for the rental permits, things like that. But what you can also do is, because this is a problem that I've seen in partnerships, is where one part, they go into the deal 50-50, all hyped up, excited. And then one partner ends up doing more work than the other partner. And the other partner gets mad, this isn't fair. Or the one partner says, I don't have time to do the bookkeeping anymore, let's outsource it. And then the other partner goes, well, I'm still doing all the leasing. Now you're not doing anything. How is that fair that we're still 50-50 partners? Instead of having to go back and restructure your whole partnership, is actually create a cost detail of what each job or task should be paid. So for example, if I'm doing the bookkeeping, I'm getting paid $100 a month. And you
Hmm.
can put it as to what you would actually pay somebody else, or you could, do it at a little bit of a discount. But then you have this whole breakdown. So then if somebody decides I'm not doing the bookkeeping anymore, you're no longer getting that $100, and you can use what you would put on that to go and pay someone else. So that's why I actually like getting paid the fair market value of what that would cost, because that's what you should have been running your numbers as anyways. You want to make sure that you can outsource everything later on down the
Right.
road, and it's not going to kill your cash flow. Because you may
Right.
say, like, oh no, I love it. I love doing it right now. Things can 100% completely change in your life that you don't want to anymore. So you always want to bake it into your numbers, anyways. But I like having that list of, like, okay, you're not doing maintenance anymore. We were paying you $40 an hour whenever you had to go and do the maintenance. We're outsourcing that now, and you still have your 50%. We're good to go.
That's a great idea. I mean, it's fantastic. Yeah, because you
Mhm.
quantify it. I mean, you hit a lot of gold there. I mean, um, you should do it at the retail price, because the other thing that comes to mind is, as you scale potentially and you do more and more of these, you don't want to be stuck doing I don't call them menial tasks, but the
Yeah.
things that you were doing before that you sort of liked, but you sort of liked them maybe because you had
Mhm.
to do them, but then at some point maybe you don't have to do them. And so if it's baked
Yeah.
into the numbers up front, then you can do that.
And that's kind of part of my story too, is I started out managing 40 units for this investor. And then it grew to like 90 units
Hmm.
over time. And then by that time I had accumulated about 20 units myself. And so it was like, oh my God, it became a lot. And I was doing all of that myself. His daughter started working for me part time. We tried out other couple people, and it was just, I was so overwhelmed. I was ripping my hair out. I was crying. I like, so I just said, you know what? Let's give this to a professional. I don't want to do this anymore. It's awful. I can't handle it anymore. And so we hired a third party property management company. And that is where I learned so much. I learned that you can't just sit back and now you have a passive investment. You still have to be the asset manager. They're
Yeah.
not going to, look at your insurance bill and say, you know what, that's a little bit high. Let's quote it out. They're not going to look at your water bill and say, you know what, I think the toilet's leaking or there's water running somewhere because it's a little bit higher than last month. They're
Hmm.
not going to want to jump into, getting an eviction. They're going to want to, it's, they got other properties to manage. It's, you're going to be
Mm.
placed in line as to when it's going to
Right.
happen. So we did 3 years with them, and I built out a property management company last year.
Mm.
And so May of 2023, we launched our new property management company, and we took my properties and the other investors' properties, and we're not taking on any other clients. But this time around, I hired everything. I
Mm.
rarely have to do anything for this, property management company that right now we're doing 150 units, I think. And I have a full-time maintenance guy who's boots on the ground, and I have two virtual assistants in the Philippines. And
Yeah.
if I would have known what I know now back then, and I would have made my systems and processes, created my SOPs, and built
Mm.
everything out so that someone else could follow it and learn, it would have been so much better. But I felt stuck that I couldn't acquire any more properties because I was spending so much time in the property management business.
Yeah, as Michael Gerber would say, the E-Myth, you were busy working in the business and not on
Yeah,
the business, right? And
exactly.
so, yeah, you hit your ceiling. I mean, you're in this world of trading time for dollars, which Robert Kiyosaki and everyone would poo-poo on, right? And
Yep.
because hey, it's only 24 hours in a day, and you probably have other things with three kids and a husband that you like to do with your time, and not just work, right? So,
Yeah.
um, okay, so you hit two: identify why you want to partner, set expectations. Was there any other key points on the partner sort of advice?
Yeah. So when you're building out your relationship, your structure with the partner is having alignment meetings. So, Paul, you had even mentioned your wife that, you're a partner with her. So
Mm.
when you're partnering with somebody in a business, you're also partnering with their spouse or their significant other,
Mm.
because a lot of the decisions they make are influenced by their significant other. So I like to
Yes.
give the example of, okay, we're partners, and we're starting to build this business, starting to grow. Okay, well, maybe your wife is getting excited like, 3 years, like we can move to the beach, like let's sell this, like I see how much, money this is making, you could sell this for a
Mm,
lot of money, blah blah blah. And then, me, I'm thinking, I have 5 kids in private school. I've got to save for their college. I have all these high expenses where I need to keep rolling in this business because
mm,
I just am, spending more than I'm even making right now on all of
right.
this stuff. And so if we're not aligned, it's going to get to the point where there's the fork in the road, where it comes to the point where you could sell the business. You say no, like I promised my wife that I would grind for 3 years and I'm out and we're moving to the beach. Like, what I need to sell. And your partner, me, says, I can't buy you out. I don't
Mm,
have the money. It's just not in the cards for me right now. I thought we were like in this for the long haul, the grind. And then it
mm,
comes to the point as to, okay, you stay in the business or you sell to somebody else. And now I have to be partners with someone that I
mm.
may not want to be, or even if I do,
Yes.
it's not going to be the same and it's still going to be a significant change. So that's where, involving what's going on at home into those alignment meetings is, I think, really, really beneficial. Maybe that's even just once a year,
Mhm.
but also quarterly, things too. And I think it's important for your spouse to know what's going on in your business too, to just kind of have, their pulse on the situation of what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. No, good point. I mean, a lot of this boils down to clear communication and regular
Hmm.
communication, right?
Yep.
Yeah, from the beginning and then throughout the process, it sounds like. Okay. Yeah, great. Alignment. That's a really good point. Anything else?
I guess the last thing you kind of touched on right there is the communication piece as to uh, James Daynard, who's a real estate investor out of Seattle. He does this very well with his business partner as far as they each have their roles in the business,
Hmm.
where decisions are ultimately their decision if it's in their wheelhouse.
Hmm.
So if it's in the brokerage side, it's James, and if it's in the property management side, it's his partner's ultimate decision. And what they do is they'll discuss, issues that come up or things like that, and they'll give each other feedback. But no matter what, whoever is their department, they're making the final decision, and they've learned to trust each other over the years. And he said it also makes things move a lot faster, where it's not me, I don't know the day to day, I'm not continuously questioning him trying to figure out if I can find the right answer. It's just we're there as sounding boards to each other, but also it's the other person's ultimate decision. So I think having that trust, and my newest partner that's, kind of taking over my property management company right now, that is like the most beneficial thing with him is like I have such trust that he is making the decision in the best interest of the property, the tenant, the business. And I, even if it may end up being the wrong decision,
Hmm.
it's still, he knows more than I do in the day to day. And that I think is just like so valuable, that you don't feel like somebody's trying to make a decision based on what's the easy way out, or, things like that. But that would be kind of my last piece of advice there.
So basically, you're saying, this partnerships goes beyond. I mean, real estate investing. This overlays a lot of things. I mean, you're essentially building a business when you buy a piece of real estate, right? And you continue to buy real estate. And if you have partners and everyone has a defined role, it's not unlike building a company where you have certain defined roles, where you might
Mhm.
have, for you, the CPA, the accountant, you have the sales manager or director or whatnot. And everyone they have a voice, but really ultimately at the end of the day, if you're the CPA and you're the accountant of the company, you're going to know the books a lot better
Yeah.
than me, the sales guy,
Mhm.
and you're like, hey, you need to raise your prices
Yeah.
because our profit margin's not large enough. Um, so, it did spring up one other question, in terms of, like, you mentioned your newest partner on a property management company that you have. So I want to make sure our terms are defined. Now you're saying partner now. Are you, and I know in the real estate sense, you're generally, there's going to be some kind of an ownership component for the partner, so they have skin in the
Mhm.
game of some type. Are you suggesting that, like, your property management partner, are you, when you bring on a partner, this is somebody beyond just a, like a paid employee. This is someone that is that has some skin in the game, and some success. Their success is tied to the success of the enterprise.
Yeah, so all of my real estate partnerships are LLCs, and then I'm in one joint venture right now for a flip I'm doing. But
Hmm.
with the property management company, I own the majority of that, and then the other business owner that I'm managing his properties, he owns a small percentage of it because he
Hmm.
brought his properties into it. Other than that, my partner that I talked about that oversees the whole company and runs it, he
Hmm.
is my partner on real estate deals. So we have real estate deals together. But as far as the property management company, he doesn't have any ownership into that. He is on salary for being the manager of it. And then
Hmm.
also he does a lot of the maintenance requests too. So he'll gets paid an hourly rate for that. But the goal is to actually give him a percentage of it to actually take full control. So we're kind of, having him learn the whole business and going through it. But I
Hmm.
would love to be as hands off as possible and just, collect some, money coming in from just being a passive investor in
That
a
passive
property
investor
management
thing, right?
company.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
but you learn, but you talked about trust in here a few times, and partnership. It's obviously clearly important to you as a theme. This particular person that is your partner for the property management, you said he's a partner on other real estate deals. So you
yeah.
guys have built this trust and relationship through true partnerships, and now you're giving him basically another opportunity to become a partner in another space.
Yeah, and he's the first person that I partnered with that I didn't know for like years that
Hmm.
I partnered with, and
Mm.
I knew each other for about 4 months before, just casual friends, not we didn't really hang out that much, but when we would, he would say how much he hated his job. And he
Mm.
was worked in construction, he was a foreman, and it just kind of got my mind going like I actually need a project manager. Maybe he would be
Yeah.
good. So he's laid off in the winter. So that winter, he worked by me side by side every single day while he was on unemployment, just learning, basically job shadowed me.
Hmm.
And, everything that I did, just learning and consuming as much as he could. And then when it came time for him to go back to work, we ended up purchasing a property together and we set the partnership up as far as he was getting paid an hourly rate to actually do the renovations on it, and he
Hmm.
owned a percentage of the property, so that way if we did hire out things it wasn't a big deal. Like we were hiring everything out including him doing the work instead
Right.
of him just putting in sweat equity to the property. So then he ended up quitting his job and he's never gone back. And we've just bought properties and rehabbed him. And now he does work for the property management company full time. But I will say, like, one thing that I have learned is that my very first partner, so he was already entrepreneurial. His dad he went into the family
Hmm.
business. So he's already had that kind of mindset where this other partner, he came from working W-2s his whole life
Hmm.
and he kind of lived paycheck to paycheck, and making that transition of now you're not getting a paycheck every week. Like you have to budget to know that maybe once a month, or when we sell a property then you're getting a big
Right.
chunk and you got to. And so part of the reason that he doesn't have ownership of the property management company yet is because he depends on that salary and
Mm.
depends on, making that routine money where he doesn't want to. I'm trying to sound this in a nice way as to not like
Sure.
say it as a negative thing. It's just a mindset that so many
Yeah.
Americans have been taught as to how they learned, but he doesn't want to give up something to have the reward later on in life, such
Yeah.
as, I'll gladly give somebody, a big chunk of money and know that, it's not going to be a great return until a year later or something like that. Like not willing to make the sacrifice for that investment, I guess I would say.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
You did that in a very gingerly manner.
Yeah.
It's been hammered. The system has been hammered into
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
for generations now, and people are starting to realize that the system is flawed,
Hmm.
but it takes a while to get, sadly, many people never escape that, the gravitational pull of all
Yeah.
that, training and the culture and all that. But more and more people are waking up, and people like you, Ashley, that have had the courage to step out and make those risky choices early on, and to basically push back. I mean, that first courageous decision on the job right out of school, um, inspires people to, and with your podcast, to make that step, because we both know that, whether it's business or real estate or something where you're out on there sort of trusting your abilities, that first step, a little bit of taste of success is goes so far,
Yeah.
and building your
Yeah.
confidence to, you can crawl, and then maybe if I can crawl, I can maybe actually stand up sometime and walk. I might not see myself as, the Donald Trump of real estate,
Yeah.
but right, but maybe, maybe one day possibly we're making progress. And when I can hear from people like you and read your books and that sort of thing, it inspires me to say, okay, yeah, maybe I can take that next step, and then
Yeah.
the next step, and
And
the next
especially
step.
with long-term rentals too, which is what we do, buy and hold. It's
Hmm.
not usually a ton of cash flow up front. Like we have a
Right.
couple properties that have hit, but it's taken time, like as to over the years, like, okay, we have a bunch of equity, we can refinance this one and buy this one. And then,
Hmm.
we're paying down stuff and we're less leveraged. There's more cash flow. But it has taken time. It was, when we first started, we were getting, we were leveraging basically 100% doing the burr strategy of what we
Yeah.
put into it, getting all our money back. So it was zero money out of pocket basically once we started doing the burrs. But
Hmm.
it wasn't a ton of cash since we weren't leaving any cash in the deal for the cash flow. So those
Yeah.
first couple properties can seem like not that exciting, but as time goes on, and like in 2021, I sold a ton of properties I bought for like $20,000. I
Yeah.
sold them for like $60,000. That's a great return, but like I
Yes, it
held on
is.
to them for
Yeah.
several more than
Yeah.
several years. I guess like 5 or 6 years, but yeah, so it's not always super exciting and flashy at the
Mm-mm.
beginning either.
Well, my favorite book says, do not, essentially paraphrasing, do not look downward on small beginnings, because you have
Mhm.
to start somewhere. And
Yep.
this whole idea of I'm getting rich immediately or overnight in anything is a sure way to failure in
Yeah.
anything. And real estate, you can certainly can build amazing wealth, but it takes time, it takes learning, it
Mhm.
takes
And
investment, it
that's the thing,
takes
it's wealth that you're building, it's not getting rich quick.
right,
Yeah.
right. Well, Ashley, this has been awesome. Tell me, what have we missed as we wrap up? Is there anything else that we want to talk about? I want to hear the name of your book again, and where people can get it for sure, and get more of your great information, where to find your podcast and all that.
Sure. So you can find the podcast Real Estate Rookie. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find it there. And then I wrote the book Real Estate Rookie and Real Estate Partnerships with Tony Robinson. You can find that on biggerpockets.com. They have a bookstore. You can use the code Ashley, you get a 10% discount. And then also you
Nice.
can find it on Amazon too if you love that prime fast shipping. You can get it there. And then I also host a rookie boot camp. So if you're looking to get started in real estate, you can go to biggerpockets.com/boot camps. And I basically, over the course of 8 weeks, take you through getting your first property, feeling comfortable and confident in making offers on your first deal.
Well, that's awesome. We'll get all that in the show notes and everything.
Okay. Awesome.
Ashley, this has been great. What a great
Yeah.
story. You're doing amazing things, and I have this feeling like you're just getting started.
I feel like it. I feel like it's been so long I've investing, but it's like every year there's something new and exciting and something to add and grow. So thank you
I've
so
never
much for
been a
having me.
I'm sure, yeah, and I've never been a CPA, but I guarantee what you're doing now is a lot more interesting and fun than being a
Oh,
CPA.
I think so too. Oh my God. I think about it sometimes and
Ah,
I just don't think I went to like a workshop retreat thing recently where we had to sit in like a session, like
mm,
one session for a full day, like at your computer. And I was just like, I don't think I could even sit at my desk for a full day. I have a walking pad, I walk and everything. And
yeah,
then I like go outside and I do everything. It's
yeah.
very rare that I'm at a desk all day long. And I don't think that I could go back to that either.
Awesome. Well, great choice. Well, have an
Mm.
amazing day,
Yeah,
And
thank you too.
thanks again for being on the show. It's great.
Thank you.
Hey, gang, just winding down here today. Thanks for listening to the show. And as always, if you need capital to grow your business, you're looking to purchase commercial real estate or build a building or invest in commercial real estate, or you're looking to acquire a business or a competitor, or just need growth capital, we'd love to talk to you. We fund businesses all day long. Our mission is to help entrepreneurs win and to fund their businesses and fund their dreams so that they can make an impact in their community. Reach out to me today. Go to our website, click the button to schedule a 20-minute conversation, discovery call. We'll have a quick conversation, see if there's a need, see if there's a fit, and we can take it from there. The website is VPC, Victor Paul Charlie .capital. That's VPC.capital. All right, there's no .com on that. It's VPC.capital. As always, keep crushing it and hope to see you soon around here. Take care.